from contact, all that is suffering. It is for the full understanding of this that the holy life is lived under the Blessed One. This, friends, is that suffering for the full understanding of which the holy life is lived under the Blessed One. Being asked thus, monks, you should answer those wanderers of other sects in such a way. That's the end of the sutta. So you see this sutta, because it is under the six sense basis, this chapter of Salayatana, six sense basis. So he talks about the source of suffering as the eye and forms and feeling that arises and the eye contact, etc. And similarly for the ear, nose and all that. But probably the similar sutta is in the Kanda Samyutta, the aggregate Samyutta. The Buddha will describe the source of suffering as the five aggregates, the body, the feeling, perception, volition and consciousness. So actually the Dhamma, we learn the Dhamma to understand suffering. So when we understand suffering, how suffering arises, how suffering ceases, and the path going to the end of suffering, then only we can eliminate suffering. 35.82. Then a certain monk approached the Blessed One and said to him, Venerable Sir, it is said, the world. In what way, Venerable Sir, is it said, the world? And the Buddha said, it is disintegrating, monk, therefore it is called the world. Let's stop here for a moment. The world here in Pali is loka. And it comes from the word lojati, I think. Lojati means disintegrating, changing. And what is disintegrating? The I, monk, is disintegrating. Forms are disintegrating. I consciousness is disintegrating. I contact is disintegrating. Whatever feeling arises with eye contact as condition, that too is disintegrating. Similarly, for the ear, the nose, tongue, body and mind, these six sense bases, and then the consciousness that arise, the object of the six bases also, and the contact, feeling, all that is impermanent, so disintegrating. Therefore, the world is so called. So here the Buddha says the world is disintegrating. So now he refers to the six sense bases, meaning to say that the world is in the six sense basis. So because the world is in the six sense basis, and the six sense bases are impermanent and changing, and so therefore the world is impermanent and changing. 35.85. Then the Venerable Ananda approached the Blessed One and said to him, Venerable Sir, it is said, empty is the world, empty is the world. In what way, Venerable Sir, is it said, empty is the world? This word empty, is the translation in Chinese is what? Kong. Comes from the word sunyata, sunya. It is because, Ananda, it is empty of self and what belongs to self that it is said, empty is the world. And what is empty of self and of what belongs to self? The I, Ananda, is empty of self and of what belongs to self. Forms are empty of self and of what belongs to self. I, consciousness, is empty of self and of what belongs to self. I, contact, is empty of self and of what belongs to self. Whatever feeling arises also is empty of self. Similarly for all the other sense bases. So it is Ananda because it is empty of self and of what belongs to self that it is said empty is the world. So here the word empty or emptiness, sunyata, does not mean that there's nothing in the world. Sometimes Chinese books, they always talk about kong, as though there's nothing. It's not the meaning. The meaning is that it is anatta, no self. And no self means there is no one thing that is unchanging, that is permanent, that remains the same. So because everything is changing all the time, you cannot identify any one thing as having a self, having a core, an unchanging core. So that's the meaning of emptiness, Kong, Sunyata. Next sutta is 35.87. This same sutta is found in the Majjhima Nikaya, sutta number 144. There is called the Chanovada Sutta, advice to Chana the monk. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. On that occasion, the Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Mahachunda, and the Venerable Chana were dwelling on Mount Vulture Peak. And the Venerable Chana was sick, afflicted, gravely ill. Then in the evening, the Venerable Sariputta emerged from seclusion, approached the Venerable Mahachunda and said to him, "Come, friend Chunda, let us approach the Venerable Chana and ask about his illness." "Yes, friend," the Venerable Mahachunda replied. Then the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahachunda approached the Venerable Chana and exchanged greetings with him, after which they sat down in the appointed seats. The Venerable Sariputta then said to the Venerable Chana, "I hope you are bearing up, friend Chana. I hope you are getting better. I hope that your painful feelings are subsiding and not increasing, and that their subsiding, not their increase, is to be discerned." "Friend Sariputta, I am not bearing up. I am not getting better. Strong, painful feelings are increasing in me, not subsiding, and their increase, not their subsiding, is to be discerned. Just as if a strong man were to split my head open with a sharp sword, so too violent winds cut through my head. I am not bearing up. Just as if a strong man were to tighten a tough leather strap around my head as a headband, so too there are violent pains in my head. I am not bearing up. Just as if a skilled butcher or his apprentice were to carve up an ox's belly with a sharp butcher's knife, so too violent winds are carving up my belly. I am not bearing up. Just as if two strong men were to seize a weaker man by both arms and roast him over a pit of hot coals, so too there is a violent burning in my body. I am not bearing up. I am not getting better. Strong, painful feelings are increasing in me, not subsiding, and their increase, not their subsiding, is to be discerned. I will use the knife, friend Sariputta. I have no desire to live." Stop here for a moment. So this monk Chana, he is very sick, and his body is giving him so much pain. He says he's going to commit suicide. Use the knife. Don't want to live anymore. Let the Venerable Chana not use the knife. Let the Venerable Chana live. We want the Venerable Chana to live. If the Venerable Chana lacks suitable food, I will go in search of suitable food for him. If he lacks suitable medicine, I will go in search of suitable medicine for him. If he lacks proper attendant, I will attend on him. Let the Venerable Chana not use the knife. Let the Venerable Chana live. We want the Venerable Chana to live. Stop here for a moment. I see this Venerable Sariputta is very compassionate. So he says, if you lack anything, I will get it for you. Even if you need an attendant also, I will attend on you. Then he said, "Friend Sariputta, it is not that I lack suitable food. I have suitable food. It is not that I lack suitable medicine. I have suitable medicine. It is not that I lack proper attendance. I have proper attendance. Moreover, friend, for a long time the teacher has been served by me in an agreeable way, not in a disagreeable way. For it is proper for a disciple to serve the teacher in an agreeable way, not in a disagreeable way. Remember this, friend Sariputta. The monk Chana will use the knife blamelessly." Stop here for a moment. So he says he has everything, and also for a long time he has served the Buddha in a good way. And he says, you should know, when I use the knife, it will be blameless. In other words, he's saying that he has attained arahanthood. Because the Buddha says, if a person commits suicide, and then he does not take rebirth after that, that is blameless. If he commits suicide and after that he's reborn again, that is blameworthy. And then the Venerable Sariputta, when he heard the Venerable Chana says indirectly that he's already an Arahant, the Venerable Sariputta decided to test him. We would ask the Venerable Chana about a certain point if he would grant us the favor of answering our question. Ask friend Sariputta, when I have heard, I shall know. Friend Chana, do you regard the I consciousness, and things cognizable with I consciousness thus? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. Do you regard the ear consciousness, and things cognizable with ear consciousness thus? This is mine, this I am, this myself. Similarly, for the other 6 sense bases. And he said, friend Sariputta, I regard the I consciousness and things cognizable with I consciousness thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Similarly, I regard the ear consciousness and things cognizable with ear consciousness thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. And similarly for the other 6 sense bases. Friend Chana, what have you seen and directly known in the in I consciousness, and in things cognizable with I consciousness, that you regard them thus? This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. What have you seen and directly known in the ear, in the nose, in the tongue, body and mind, that you regard them thus? This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Friend Sariputta, it is because I have seen and directly known cessation in the in I consciousness, and in things cognizable with I consciousness, that I regard them thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. It is because I have seen and directly known cessation in the ear, in the nose, in the tongue, in the body, in the mind, and in the consciousness, and in things cognizable, that I regard them thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Stop here for a moment. So here he says he has seen these 6 sense bases ceasing. So if he has seen them ceasing, he must have attained a very high state of meditation. When this was said, the Venerable Mahachunda said to the Venerable Chana, therefore, friend Chana, this teaching of the Blessed One is to be constantly given close attention. For one who is dependent, there is wavering. For one who is independent, there is no wavering. When there is no wavering, there is tranquility. When there is tranquility, there is no inclination. When there is no inclination, there is no coming and going. When there is no coming and going, there is no passing away and being reborn. When there is no passing away and being reborn, there is neither here nor beyond nor in between the two. This itself is the end of suffering. Stop here for a moment. So, Venerable Mahachunda gave this advice to the Venerable Chana that we should remember the Buddha's teaching. One who is dependent, that means one who is attached, then there is wavering. The mind can still shake. Not yet steady. But one who is independent, not attached, there is no wavering. And because there is no wavering, there is tranquility. And so, if there is all this, then there is no coming and going, no dying and being reborn. There is no passing away and being reborn. So, when there is no passing away and being reborn, there is neither here nor beyond, nor in between the two. This here or beyond is like this life and another life, and in between the two refers to the intermediate state of existence, which the commentaries and the Abhidhamma denies. But in the Sutta, Buddha did talk about this state, that if a being is going to be reborn into the womb, then there is an intermediate state that he has to wait. He has to wait for some time, a suitable time.